Hi, welcome to another Crabs, Goats and Goats. My name's Anthony Wilson. Thanks for joining me. Okay, so there is a full moon this Sunday, the 19th of December. It's in Gemini. In this video, I'm going to be talking about that. I'm also going to be talking about the other transits around at the moment as we go into 2022 and how the astrology of 2022, without going into it in great detail, looks compared to the astrology of 2021 and 2020. Okay, so first of all, the moon's in Gemini at the full moon opposite Sagittarius. So these themes of travel, communication, and Gemini is very much a sign that likes not to be restricted. And while all the other transits at the moment tend to be less about that, this full moon could bring up issues to do with that. So people that are actually feeling tied down, restricted, and not able to do what they want, they're going to be making a big noise this weekend, but that's nothing new. But generally speaking, you may be feeling more restless than usual at the full moon, especially if Gemini is prominent in your chart. So it's very much out of, in some senses, it's kind of out of sync with the rest of the transits going on at the moment, because we have planets in Capricorn, Mercury, Venus, and Pluto. We have obviously Saturn in Aquarius and Jupiter too, with Uranus in Taurus. And these signs are not about freedom and moving around and doing what you want to do. They're about actually kind of dealing with stuff that needs to be dealt with that is pressing. And of course, that has very much been the theme of what's been around us. So this full moon is perhaps a time when it'd be useful to let off steam if it needs to be let off. It's a full moon where you can just bring out the things that you've been underneath, not necessarily in an angry way or in a heavily emotional way, even just in the sense of like getting some movement into your life in some way, interacting with other people in a way that is emotionally meaningful, which is a full moon in Gemini. So that's how I advise to get the most out of it in terms of a positive vibe. The transits generally at the moment are reflective more of a heavier nature, especially with the final exact square of Saturn and Uranus coming up on Thursday next week. So that's the 23rd. They've been square all year, and kind of Saturn's been going backwards and forwards, and it makes its final exact square to Uranus this next week, which means we are, generally speaking, we're at the peak at the moment of this conflict between organization and revolution, breakdown of what needs to be broken down. So there is this need to change, which is very urgent. It could be in terms of personal things, it could be in terms of structural things, but old things that needed to change have been trying to change this year, because Uranus and Saturn having this set to, and perhaps we will see from next week, we will see how things are a bit easier to actually change. So it's still at that point where these two are in conflict. So change which is necessary is still very difficult to put into practice. This is the basic characterization of this square. And so this full moon that we're looking at the weekend perhaps is a good time to kind of get away from these problems of that are around us of trying to make things work in a sense. But the good news is that in 2022, this square will weaken because Saturn will move forward in Aquarius. It will be, especially in September and October next year, it will be fairly close to being a square again by exact degree. But all the way through 2022, we're looking at less tension between this fight of the old and the new, in the sense, which is Saturn and Uranus. And when I say the old, I mean the old that has really lost its meaning in terms of not adapting to what is new. So this is perhaps less of a theme in 2022 than in 2021. And the other thing, of course, is that Jupiter will leave Aquarius, the fixed air sign of Aquarius, and go into Pisces, which is a very different environment for Jupiter to be in. We have already experienced this last year, or this year I should say, in May and June especially. The month of June was blessed by Jupiter in Pisces, and many people thought at that time that things were getting better, and they may have noticed, and if you did notice an improvement in one area of your life at that time last year, then the next 5 months, well, up to April really, the next 4 months will really show an improvement in that kind of area. So if Jupiter, if Pisces occupies, for example, the 7th house in your chart, you have Virgo ascendant, then you may have experienced last June that relationship matters became easier, or some sort of one-to-one partnership offered you benefits that you weren't enjoying before. And that would have been a glimpse into what the first months of 2022 can offer you. So if it was in your first house, we're talking about simply doors opening, opportunities to make you bigger in the world, in a sense, which is your ascendant. And if you have if you have Pisces ascendant, and if you have Aries ascendant, it's perhaps less as evident because it's in the 12th house behind the ascendant, but it would still offer more support underneath for you. Not so many people trying to go from places where you can't see them against you, and it's more security, emotional security, in a sense, the 12th house representing things underneath, and psychological astrology has it as the subconscious too, which would mean more emotional security. If you have Taurus ascendant, it would be in your 11th house, which is friendships and group activities. So if you have Taurus rising, you would benefit more from social connections, not just in the sense of enjoyment, but also perhaps in the sense of networking, providing you with some kind of opportunity. If you have Gemini ascendant, then it would pertain to the 10th house and career ambitions. So again, if this was happening for you in June last year, look again of what the next 3 months can provide you, because it's very, very similar. Also, sometimes the 10th house or the 4th house can be to do with parenthood, and your role as somebody in the world that people look up to in the 10th house. So those kind of things are also possible if you have Gemini rising. If you have Cancer rising, this is a very nice transit for you, because you've had a lot of pressure from Saturn and Pluto over the last couple of years. Now Jupiter going into water sign will very much hand you an emotional boost, but especially in terms of learning, exploration, broadening your horizon, so exploring the world in a sense, but not just in terms of travel, but also in the sense of learning. Then if you have a Leo ascendant, it would perhaps relate to inheritances or money coming from places that weren't necessarily your earnings. Certainly your deeper bonds with other people would be strengthened by this. If you have Virgo ascendant, as I said, it would relate to relationships, one-to-one relationships. If not romantically, then partnerships that can offer you benefits in terms of people that you rely on to work with you or combine with you in any way. If you have Libra rising, Libra ascendant, it would be more to do with health or your day-to-day routine, your work. Perhaps colleagues being much more easy to get on with, for example, or your schedule being somehow easier to manage if you have Libra rising. If you have Scorpio rising, this is a bit of a wow 3 months for you, because Scorpio ascendant, you're gonna enjoy the creative boost of Jupiter in Pisces, and that will really, Scorpios need to feel safe, to show what to show what they've done. And if you're a Scorpio who's been hiding your talents, in a sense, this is the time to bring them out into the open. And you may have had a clue of that in June last year, as I was saying. Sagittarius ascendant. This is to do with home and family. This is to do with people around you that make you feel secure in your home. So this could be family members. It could be something to do with your parents. It could be something to do with the need to make your house bigger or somehow develop it, or just a more positive atmosphere around the home. It could be anything to do with that, but it really does bring some joy there. And if you have Capricorn ascendant, it's to do with communication and the way that you express your ideas. So this is the time to really think about how you can bring some feeling into your ideas. Pisces is about feeling, and you can bring more emotion into the way you express yourself in a way that means something. Capricorns need something to be meaningful, and this will help the way that you express your ideas. And finally, Aquarius rising, and this is really welcome news for Aquarius in some ways, because Jupiter will go into your second house of finances, so it can bring earnings, it can bring a boost to your money side, but you could be spending a lot too, which is also the second house. Although it does leave Saturn alone in Aquarius without Jupiter, and so there will be Saturnian issues to be dealt with next year too, if you have Aquarius rising. And actually that applies to any of those. I mean, once Jupiter goes into one house, it leaves Saturn alone now in the house that it left. So wherever Jupiter has returned to later this year from Pisces, so Jupiter has gone back into Aquarius for the last part of this year, it's been helping. I wouldn't say it's been stopping. It's been helping the arena where Saturn has been bringing some questions that need to be answered. So you need to look at that as well in terms of how it will play into the house of the chart where it's departed. So overall, the astrology for 2022 is much more outward looking than the previous 2 years. There's been a lot of inward looking, inattention. There's been a lot of planets asking to people to get their house in order, and asking the house to be put in order, the actual structure where we are, where we live, where we, the government as well, in a sense. I mean, this is a time when governments have found it very difficult to really deal with any kind of issue, and 2022 indicates that things will be easier on that score. Now, it doesn't indicate that things won't have to change. They will. It doesn't indicate that people will suddenly be happy with what they have, but I'm guessing on the COVID front that once Jupiter goes into Pisces and Saturn begins to separate from Uranus, that we're going to see an actual improvement. I know this goes against what the numbers are saying right now, but we're going to see an improvement in the COVID numbers as early as mid-January. That's an astrological prediction. Obviously, it means nothing in comparison to people who know about, who scientifically know about what's going on. I'm not challenging any of those people or saying that I would know any better. I'm just saying the astrology of 2020 and 21 have been consistent with the rise and the falls of the COVID numbers, especially in particular countries, the leading numbers, if you like. So I'm making a very hesitant prediction, which, this is the one I would love to be correct, is that the COVID, while it may not leave us or, be completely controlled, will, I think, decrease as a let's say, a party pooper in 2022. We will have parties again. I know that sounds selfish to say it like that, but I think we do need that right now. Jupiter and Pisces, I think, will deliver that. So I hope you're well. This isn't too much. I'm thinking of doing a kind of year breakdown in the next one, which will be around the new moon in Capricorn. So that would be around New Year. So possibly at that time, before New Year, I would do it, but I don't know if I can guarantee you that. But I will hopefully see you again before 2022 begins. Have a great day. Stay as positive as you can be, but obviously, let's just be real as well, and take care. Bye bye.